guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new IDontWorkHereLady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled I Don't Work Here. I'm here for my lunch. Let go of me or I'm calling the police. Okay, so 2 years ago, I worked at my local mall's Poundland, basically the British version of the dollar store. It was 3 days before Christmas, and if you've ever worked retail, you know what a nightmare that is. In the mall there is this cute little cafe which I sometimes like to get my lunch at. It's a bit on the pricey side, so it's a rare treat for myself. I was dressed in my shop's uniform, which was black dress trousers, a black polo, black leather dress shoes, and a name tag with hair tied if long. It very closely resembles the cafe's uniform except for the fact my name tag clearly says Poundland on it, and they wear shirts not polos. The times I've been there for lunch before, I have sometimes been mistaken for staff, but people are generally very good about it. When I explained, but this day that was not the case. On this day the cafe was of course quite busy. I mean the Christmas rush are as eager to eat as I am. I get a table and sit down waiting for my order when I feel a woman tapping my shoulder quite roughly. I actually ended up with a bruise from this as I bruise easily. Do you really think you should be taking up a table when people are waiting to be served? I explained to her that I'm on my lunch break and don't actually work here. But in the shop across the mall, of course, she doesn't believe me and insisted on lying. I point to my name tag and then ask that she leaves me alone. This, it seems, was the wrong thing to do, as she then drags me out of my seat by my arm. Now I'm a tiny girl, I'm 5'2" if I'm lucky, so moving me was easy for her, and she begins to scream for a manager while dragging me from my seat. By now everyone is staring at us and I tell her I don't work here. I'm here for my lunch. Let go of me or I'm calling the police. At this time the manager runs over and shouts at her to let go of me. She begins to scream about how the servers here are lazy and how I was taking up a table that should go to a customer. And he just looks at me. Then her tells her I am a customer and do not work for his cafe. In the end, mall security threw her out and I was asked if I wanted to press charges. By this I mean I was asked if I wanted to get police involved at all. There were no police, there is mall security, dealt with the issue. I did, as I didn't think it worth the hassle. As an apology, I got free lunch that day from the cafe. So thanks for the free lunch, crazy woman who can't read a name tag. The next story is titled Was Mistaken for a Waiter Whilst at a Wake. This happened a few years ago, long before I discovered Reddit and this sub. I was dressed head to toe in black, having just been to my aunt's funeral, and was now at a pub/restaurant, a Wetherspoons for anyone in the UK. As I made my way to the bathroom, visibly upset, I hear a frustrated "excuse me." I wasn't paying much attention and didn't know who the person was, so ignored it. Along came another and more rude "excuse me." So I looked at the woman with an obviously confused, still visibly upset face, and before I could respond she exclaimed "mayonnaise." It took a moment, but it dawned on me what was happening. And having been a waiter previously and not wanting to pass up an opportunity to make a rude customer feel bad, I rudely said I don't work here. I then gestured toward the large party I was with, all in black and all obviously mourning. Her face shifted from annoyed to incredibly embarrassed with a speed in which I'd never seen before. As I returned from the bathroom, she stood up and stopped me and apologized profusely. She looked more upset than anyone I'd seen at the funeral that day. The next story is titled The Time Someone Asked Me to Help Find the Parents of My Own Daughter. I'm in a bookshop, the children's department no less, when suddenly the stroller beside me begins to get pushed away. I turn to see a lady, who is neither my wife or anyone I know, pushing my daughter away from me. I ran for the stroller, grabbing one of the bars and yanking it from her fingers. I pushed her into a nearby shelf slightly by her arm, glaring at her more intensely than I have anyone. People around are staring at me in shock, likely thinking I've just taken T-Thigh's woman's toddler by force. "Ma'am, what exactly do you think you're doing?" I asked her tensely, my one hand still held out in front of her chest to keep her as far away from my child as possible. I'm a very docile man, but that was way past my line of being non-confrontational. She looks up at me alarmed. "I was just trying to find the kid's parents. Do you think you could help me look?" "I most certainly will if you touch my daughter again." "What is wrong with you? What possessed you in that moment to think that was the right thing to do?" I told her, spitting through my teeth. From the stress of me yelling and the situation in general, my daughter began to cry. The lady also began to cry. "I don't know. I thought you worked here. I'm so sorry." She sobbed out, and I finally put my hand down as she ran off out of the store. I pulled my daughter from the stroller, picked a book, paid for it, and left. It's not my problem some lady decided to get grabby with my kid's safety. On the way out, pushing the stroller with a hand, holding a shopping bag and comforting my daughter with the other, I saw her again sitting on the ground and crying while talking on the phone. I honestly felt a little bad, but God, how could you be stupid? The next story is titled Accidentally Burned Down My Neighbor's Fence, and she tries to milk me for $10K. Judge humbles that ass up real quick. This sub has gotten me through a lot of boredom and has provided me with hours of entertainment. I figure it's my turn to tell my revenge story. So, it's been about 4 years since this happened. I was about 18 at the time, working for a security company. There were constant call-offs and no-shows, I have no idea why. But being so young and naive, I was constantly working 16 HR shifts and not coming home until 8 a.m. Also, I lived with my father at the time. The time frame of this was around the 4th of July. I finally had a day off and my best friend was back in town for vacation. We decided to get together and chip in on some good old American fireworks. To be fair, I have had nothing but bad experiences with fireworks, so I had no idea how this would be any different. We got home with the fireworks, and we laid them all out on the floor, sparklers, bottle rockets, cakes, and Roman candles. I say, why don't we mess around with some sparklers, since it's still not dark yet? Great idea. We go to my backyard, where it hasn't rained in well over 2 months, and it is extremely dry. You see the problem here. One of the little sparkles from mine and my friend's sparkler contacted the ground and made 2 small fires that quickly spread to a large area. I ran as fast as I could to grab the garden hose and quickly started spraying down the fire. It was no use. It was spreading faster than I could spray it. I handed my friend the hose and called 911. What felt like hours was only 4 minutes, and the fire was spreading to the neighbor's fence. The neighbor came outside, and they were calm to grab their hose and spray down the fence, along with the dead grass in her yard. The fire department shows up finally, and I tell my friend only one of us needs to get in trouble, you should leave. He was reluctant to leave because he felt equally responsible. But I convinced him. I didn't want him to get in trouble and must drop out of college. My neighbor was super chill about the entire situation at first. I told her that we could talk about replacing the fence and get some quotes to repair it. She was just super grateful that everyone was okay. About 2 hours after the fire, the arson/fire investigator came to question me about the fire. I told him the truth. I said I was in the backyard by myself, playing with fireworks and accidentally lit the ground on fire. I had gotten off that day without being hit by any charges and was commended for being honest. Here is where it goes downhill very fast. About a week later, I get a knock on the door from the neighbor. I opened the door and she handed me 2 pieces of paper for me to look at. There was a quote for the fence valued at around $4,000 and an estimate for lawn care valued around $6,000. These were shady and just typed out on a Microsoft Word document, no logo or company name. She then adds, I will also be having you pay my water bill for 3 months because the new yard will need lots of water. Now the fence this woman had before was raggedy and falling apart. Her yard, dead grass, weeds everywhere, never mowed it. Now looking at this paper, she wants a mahogany fence and a brand new backyard with flowers and trimmed hedges. I said I need to get an estimate myself, this doesn't feel right. She says, remember you agreed to replace my fence, and a real man keeps promises. I shut the door and called my dad to tell him about what just happened. He flipped the duck out and told me, son, don't you give that idiot a single dime. He gives me the number to his handyman and tells me to take care of it. The next day I had the guy come out for an estimate, and the neighbor ran outside flailing her arms. I did not give you permission to get an estimate on my fence. Technically it separates the property line, so it's both of our fences. She calls the cops on me for having a contractor, and they ultimately can't do a single thing because I'm on my property. He quickly finishes the estimate off at $1,200. I also knew a guy who did lawn care from my time working at the grocery store. He estimated the lawn reseeding while she was away from the house to be about $800. After I get these estimates, I give copy to the woman, and she is having none. I don't know these people, I don't want them near my house. They're probably crappy contractors. I said no, I know them personally, they are nice people and do great work. She shut the door in my face and I went on my way. I ended up working a 16-hour shift that night and got home at 8 a.m. And this woman comes knocking on my door at 9 a.m. and demanded if speak to her. I explained I would really love to do this, but I just got home, and I must be back at work in less than 5 hours. I need to sleep. She goes, what kind of lazy asset sleeps in until 2 p.m.? At this point, I had about lost it and told her you can either accept my $2,000 for my quotes or kiss my ass and get nothing. She stood there for a while with her mouth gaped open, but she accepted my offer and planned to meet down at the notary the next morning. I spent that night after I got off work, writing a contract and gathering the $2,000 in cash. The next morning, I wake up and grab this contract to meet down at the notary. I was thrilled to finally be done with this broad and never speak to her again. I waited for her for over 3 hours, and she didn't show up. I get a call from her saying, I'm sorry, the $2,000 isn't enough. I'm having my guys start work on this project, and you will be paying me full price, so really. After that, I did not say a single word to her, and I watched for a few months as these guys turned her backyard into an oasis, complete with a small pond, brand new sod and flowers, the whole 9 yards. Come to find out, she had plans to remodel these things for a long time and was just waiting for the opportunity to go through with it. Also in this time, she used her remodel funds to go on a trip to Hawaii. You know how I found out about this? She was bragging about it on the neighborhood Facebook group and didn't know what was in it. I have a different Facebook name than my real name. Are you ready for the revenge? Now, 4 months after the fire and all the remodels, I get served papers to go to court for $10,300. At 18 years old, I'm having to hire a lawyer to work my case. When we finally do get into court, I lay everything out. The quotes, being harassed multiple times, not showing up after agreeing to a deal, not wanting me to get my own quotes, required by law BTW, and her bragging about screwing me out of money, and I have proof of all of this. The judge looked at her and said, ma'am, with all due respect, you're out of your damn mind. Not only did this young man tell the truth of what happened, he offered to pay you more than he was supposed to. Your lawn was already dead before the fire occurred. Therefore, he is only responsible for the fence of $1,200. I will also deduct from this his lawyer fees, $800. So I burned this woman's fence down, and all I'm having to give her is $400. Cool. She took a huge financial loss from this. Not sure how much the Hawaii trip cost her, but she was in serious debt. She ended up having to sell a house because of it and moved into a smaller house. Haven't heard anything from her since. The next story is titled, once again, I'm blind, not busy. I've only been at my new place for a few months, but I live a short distance from a grocery store. Since I can't drive, it's nice to be able to get to the grocery store and get fresh produce without even having to cross the street. That's even nicer since I'm legally blind. I used to travel with a service dog, but he retired due to old age, so now I'm back to working with a white cane. There's a lot of different white canes out there for blind people. Some of them fold up like a tent pole, others are spring-loaded and extend like a telescope, and others are just a long piece of plastic with a simple handle. When it's warmer outside, I use the long plastic one because it's very light and easy to use even if I have something that hand. Ultimately, the job of this cane is to keep me from running into something while I walk down the short pathway from my front door to the grocery store. Obstacles along that path could include traffic cones, storm drains, mailboxes, parked cars, and other stuff that you could encounter and accidentally walk into if you can't see well like me. I'm on my way home from the grocery store, a large bag of groceries in one hand and my cane in the other. As I'm walking, I'm tapping my cane on the ground in the approximate spot that my foot will be landing in the next step. There's no sidewalk, but there's a pretty wide slanted gutter thing that is nice enough to follow and get home. All of a sudden, I hear someone yell from across the street, "What are you doing?" Figuring that no sane person would question the motives of a blind guy just walking down his driveway, I just kept going. I hear footsteps, and the person who shouted gets in front of me, and I almost run into them. Once again, they ask in an accusatory manner what the hell I'm doing. "I'm just going home," I said. "Are you spraying something?" the crazy lady asks. "No, I'm just walking home," I repeat. "Then what's that thing for?" she says. "This?" I ask, holding up my cane. "This is a cane." "Are you with the groundskeeping crew?" "No, lady, I'm not with the groundskeeping crew." "Then why are you even here?" She gestures wildly. For the third time, "Lady, I'm walking home." At this point, I walk past her and go home. I make sure to lock my door in case she tries to follow me. Once again, I'm left wondering how sighted people can be so blind to the world around them. The next story is titled, Appears I Meet the Requirements. Welcome to Boxmart. I'm the guy in black scrubs and a lanyard that says FBI crime scene. Do not cross attached to a badge with not this place clearly named. Never mind, I'm with my wife and kid. Twice I wander off to grab something we skipped or forgot. Twice randoms ask me where to find things, frozen veggies, frozen seafood section, both oddly placed IMO. Both times I'm not too sure. I don't work here, and I try to avoid this place, sorry, and on we go. Now, I'm reaching atop the high shelf to get a meal replacement drink, because I often need to not feel hunger pain while not having time to properly handle it. In reading the label and chatting with wifey about it, Spidey sense fails me. Wife looks up behind me a couple times and I don't register that I've applied for a new job. She tugs my sleeve and clears a path for Karen saying scooch over babe I think she needs, and I move while turning and saying sorry, lost in the label. My application has been accepted. I'm hired and I start my new position 15 seconds ago. I receive a verbal warning for conduct immediately. When you're done messing around, I need you to show me where irrelevant item is. You're useless kids, just point and send me the wrong way. Took about 10 full seconds of blinking, thinking, and checking my outfit to realize all you need is a lanyard of any kind to get a job here. Coincidentally, it takes the same amount of time for a wild Karen to ignore all the signs present and become enraged at not having their demands met with groveling. Are you useless too? Let's go, I need irrelevant item today. I give wifey a good solid kiss. She blinks and stares confused. Be back in a sec, beautiful. Be good for mommy, buddy. Kiddo doesn't think much, but wifey catches on really. Okay then, have fun. I check my badge again, just to see if the ignition kicks on for Karen. Appears to run on steam and the coal fire is heating up. I'm pretty new, but we'll find it. Right this way, ma'am. She made it down 4 aisles that most definitely wouldn't have what she wanted before mentioning my incompetence. I can't see why they'd put you in charge. I can't help but agree I'm right there with you, ma'am. Seems like a major oversight. She follows through pet food, by the fish, and through shoes, but draws the line at electronics. I'm looking for irrelevant food item, why would you take me here? There's no food back here at all. It's been fun, but I'm bored, and she's either gonna get the point shortly or never. Yeah, you're probably right. Maybe we should get someone that works here. Should we try at the register? They can probably call a manager from there. Looks like the at-will employment in my state kicked in. She walked off toward the food and I haven't received next week's schedule. Am not hurt though, the pay was terrible. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.